My name's Eddie Winters. You're tuned in to the Rock and Roll Coup d'etat. We've got a very special guest on the line, Jeremy. Are you ready?
I'm very, very enthusiastically ready.
I've waited all year long, and I'm excited to bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, a legend in the rock and roll music entertainment business, and I'm a huge fan. Mr. Al Jardine joins us on the line. Al, how you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm great, Eddie. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. We got a little bit of applause for you right there.
Big hand, big hand.
Oh, overwhelming.
It is the least we could do.
Oh, thank you.
It is. Al, we're excited. You've got a 2015 very big year. You're going to be going on the road with Brian Wilson. And just completed a brand new release from Brian Wilson called No Pier Pressure, and you're featured on the record. We were just playing one of the main tracks off the record, The Right Time.
Sounds gorgeous.
It very much very gorgeous. And not to just use the title of this track, but it is the right time for you guys to get on the road and do this. How did this record come about? How did your involvement with No Peer Pressure take off?
Well, that's a good question. We're always thinking of writing new music, and so Brian and I we're thinking about doing just a pure rock and roll album. But you know, when you get down to it, there's so many different forms of music and kinds of ways of expressing it that, you know, different kinds of songs make themselves available to you. And this one seemed to fit both of our voices really well. So it's not a real rocker, but it's got a cool message. So this is the one that seems to get the most airplay. I think in Great Britain it was the number one when the album cut played on British radio.
Wow, cool.
First month it came out, I think it was March, April period. Yeah, so
they've always had good taste.
How does that make you feel? I mean, you've obviously been doing this for years, and to put out a new, be a part of a new album, and it just, I mean, being anticipated, and then when it comes out, people are loving it. I mean, does it still give you a bit of electricity when you get that kind of feedback?
Oh boy, does it ever! I was so pleased to hear that it was being received that way. You know, just airplay is a whole different deal now. I mean, just to hear about quote radio airplay is amazing. You know, because in England, I think they polled about 332 stations, and they came up with that number.
Wow,
number one number. I don't even know if that's. It sounds like 1960s reporting. You know,
right.
It might also
stations.
Include
we
internet
must have
airplay too.
Ways of getting the music out, but the BBC is still an important way to get your music over there.
Right.
Here you can get it in any number of ways. You know, streaming and iPods, iPads. You know,
the whole
who knows?
Right.
What medium? So we don't really get that kind of feedback here. So I assume it's being played. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know that. I mean, even just from the numbers online, that people are just consuming it and playing it, and a lot of feedback is coming back via that way. And I was going to ask. I mean, when Brian Wilson gets into the studio and he's organizing a thing, how does does he reach out to you? Are you kind of I guess working together on this project for the No Peer Pressure record?
Well, he usually gets the music organized and the tracks laid down with a group of pretty good musicians.
Sure.
And down there in L.A. I live on the Central Coast. I'm up here in the Big Sur area. You know, I used to live in fact, I grew up in San Francisco.
Wow.
Went to school in the city there when I was a kid, so I kind of like it up here more northerly.
Right.
Although it gets a little cold.
The bracing winds.
Remind myself that that you have to wear a 6 mil wetsuit even to get in the water.
Right.
But it's pretty. Yeah, anyway, getting back to the record, I'll go down there when the tracks are done, and then we'll go through the songs and see what fits. And in this particular one, he had me in mind, I think, for the vocal.
Sure.
Similar to, I guess, when we did Help Me Rhonda back in the old days.
Right.
Yeah.
We had to cut that one twice because the first take didn't work out so much. It was more of an album cut. You never know. If you get lucky, you get a second chance. Lightning strikes twice sometimes.
Right.
But this one, I think we got this one right the first time. I think it's the right time for this one.
I really do. I mean, I was going to say Brian's band his touring band, and you guys are going out, I guess, starting on the 18th at the Mountain Winery. You guys are going out for a few months, and it's nice to note. I mean, he's got such a strong band, guys like Scott Bennett, Probin Gregory, guys like that who've been in his backing group for years. When you come into the studio and you've got this lush arrangement and you've just got to go into the vocal booth, is there more to the collaboration with some of these tracks coming from you?
Not really. I'm basically a hired gun.
Wow. Right.
These guys, like you say, they've been together for a long time.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like one of the. I'd call myself one of the colors in the paint box,
Right.
For an artist. And Brian and I have always, have the same interests, I guess you might say, the same respect for one another as far as the singing goes,
Sure.
Yeah.
We're just friends, old friends from a century ago, and we're just kind of like we work it's pretty easy. He doesn't say much, we laugh a lot.
Right.
It's always something really fun to, we always remember stuff that's, that only old friends can remember, right? And
right.
Stuff like that. But when it gets in front of the microphone, it's all business.
Sure.
He doesn't like to hear flats and sharps. He wants to hear the, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I know what he needs to hear.
He
so
still doesn't like flats and sharps.
Well,
I said he still doesn't like flats and sharps after all this time.
No, it bugs the hell out of him.
Right.
And me too. I always have to think sharp when I'm singing.
Oh,
what I do. So that's how I avoid going flat.
That's interesting.
that's a trick a lot of singers use.
Yeah, to think, basically thinking ahead of yourself, basically.
Yeah, you got to. I would advise that to any singer.
Right.
You
think
hear
sharp.
it in your head, and it's not the same as it is in the
Singing sharp
room.
isn't as offensive as singing flat for some reason. It just, for some reason, if you oversing something, it's not so bad as if you undersing it.
Right. And, carrying that onto the stage, I mean, as we're talking, you're going to be doing several, shows, weeks of performing. And this is, performing, I realize, I mean, obviously with the Beach Boys back in the, for a lot of the career, going out on tour during the summer is, I mean, that's been a ritual, that you've probably partaken in years. Is there a certain kind of pressure that you feel when you are going on the road? Obviously, you've done it your whole entire life, but is there a certain mindset you get into preparing yourself to go on the road and do such intensive touring dates?
I think it's the excitement of going out changes the mindset.
Right.
Because you really do get there are many opportunities to and they get fewer and farther between. Is that the right term?
I believe
you know
it
what I'm
is.
saying.
Right.
Because as the veterans like myself and Brian and most of us from that era, we're competing, with contemporary people, and so we don't get the same. Let's put it this way: we don't work as much as we used to.
Right.
Okay.
So when we do go out, I get really, really pumped up.
Yeah.
And we do a few days of rehearsal, maybe possibly a week this time. I don't know. And that usually is enough to get the rust out, and because the rest of it's pretty. For the most part, the set is a Beach Boys set,
Right.
and we know the material awfully good. I'm inside and out by now.
Sure.
So it's not, that's not. It's the new work. It's the new things off the album that we have to concentrate on.
Right.
You know.
That's and it's amazing how many. I mean, a lot of these tracks on Brian's record is featuring. I mean, people like Zoe Deschanel and other artists like that. How will that translate on the stage? Is that something that has been rehearsed as far as some of these tracks? Or are we just doing a few selections and
yeah, you never want to do all your new material when you go out and tour.
Right.
That's a cardinal rule.
Right.
So we'll take those tracks that Blondie Chaplin and I sing with Brian. The three of us have, several opportunities, and we'll do those songs like "The Right Time" and "Sail Away," I think is one, and there's another one. But I like very much for Blondie to sing "Funky Pretty." That's going to be my request.
Great.
That's a great
from the Carl and the Passions album back in the '70s.
Such a great album.
An album with Blondie and his brother in the Flame, a group called the Flame.
Right.
And I think Carl wrote "Funky Pretty," didn't he? Yeah. So Carl Wilson wrote that one, and that's one of my favorite Blondie Chaplin leads. So he's joining us out there. So
and that's, I mean, and you guys, I guess you guys did the tour with Brian, Blondie, and the Jeff Beck a couple years back.
Yeah.
And it was such a great pleasure to see you guys performing together on the same stage. And
that was an interesting tour. Blondie wasn't on that tour.
Was he not in Oakland? Am I mistaken? Did he not?
Okay, he was, I guess.
You're making me question my own reality. But the Jeff Beck tour, that was a great. I mean, obviously from different perspectives, it seemed like the two different ends of the spectrum being joined together. But and a lot of great reviews of that tour. I mean, what was your experiences? Any great memories that stand out from being on that?
Yeah, I just loved I love doing Surf's Up with Jeff.
Oh yes,
it was that was the highlight of the show for me because that's one of I think our best songs ever we've ever done and Brian's ever written for that matter. So to hear him play it on the guitar and then we come in and do our backgrounds,
right,
gave me chills every night. He'd look at me, Beck would look at me a little, just at the point where we were supposed to come into our parts. He'd do a little retard there, and then it just all came together.
Right.
And, it was one of those forever moments, I guess, in the music, my musical experience.
Sounds like Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the lead that he does of the vocal on the Surf's Up is just what I mean, and it's beautiful because all the vocals in the background. I mean, it reminds you of those backing tracks. That kind of. It
feels great to be a background singer.
Oh, I just
to his playing.
Right, to be
remarkable. And I haven't done that tune since we recorded it.
Wow.
Personally, and it was quite an impactful thing for me. And I'd like to do that on this tour if we can. I'm not sure. I put a request in today just before you called.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that how it works? I mean, is it open up? Like I would like to do this song. What do you guys think? I mean, do you actually put in the requests and hope your number comes up?
Yeah. Paul Mertens, our musical director,
right,
organizes all that kind of stuff. Brian and I more or less just put our
wow.
We just put our requests in.
Right.
we all pretty much know what we like.
There's a suggestion
Paul
box.
Then will organize the set list and try to fit it all in.
Nice.
And it's a pretty impressive musical experience, I'll tell you.
I mean, yeah, I can imagine, and there's so much to pull from, and different.
God. We started one thing and then another, and then pretty soon, Marianne, my wife, is saying, "Oh, how about this one?" And I'm going, "Holy mackerel!" And one thing generates another, and pretty soon we have a 100-song set list.
Right, 4-hour concert. Yeah.
Yeah, we could easily. I think we probably ought to park ourselves somewhere like, I don't know, Las Vegas and just play everything we do.
Right.
It's everything we know.
It's like a Springsteen show or something.
Yeah, someone did that in Detroit over the winter. Some famous band, I can't remember. They did like 4 hours at a theater in Detroit. I forget who. Anyway, someone like that.
Right, and doing these long. I'm sure, and I can guarantee. I mean, people would come out in droves if knowing that you're doing a 4-hour program.
Wouldn't that be great?
Man.
I would love it. You'd have to take a couple of breaks, though. I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, we could do a Guinness thing, Up to the old Orpheum Theater. Is that still there?
The Orpheum.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, yes.
Really? No kidding. I saw King Kong there in 1953.
Wow.
Is that
Scared the
right?
crap out of me. That was what an incredible theater.
Oh, man.
That was right on Market, right?
Yeah, they've stopped doing movies there. It's
What do they do now?
Just like touring shows, and then if they get kind of like a really big name cabaret act, they could do it. But basically, if like Book of Mormon were going to be here, or Jersey Boys or whatever, to be at the Orpheum.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, maybe that's a place to do it. I don't know.
Hey, Al, this is Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
We haven't been introduced yet. I'm a huge fan. You're one of my favorite singers, and full stop, one of my favorite harmony singers.
Oh, thanks.
But we get a lot of musicians listening to the show. I have a question just for the guitar geeks out there. To me, the white Strat with the rosewood board is the Al Jardine Strat. I don't care how famous Jimi Hendrix got for playing one. You used to be on Beach Boys album covers with that, and I see pictures of you from 2012 with a very similar looking guitar. Is that the same Strat, or do you have like a remake of that because maybe you don't want to take it on the road?
Oh, is that on my album cover?
Well, it's on a lot.
Album cover,
It's on a
that
lot
one?
of the early Beach Boys covers, but I'm looking at a picture of you on the 2012 reunion tour.
Oh, the reunion tour.
Mhm.
No, that's not. I don't take that one on the road with me.
No, nor would I.
Right.
No, it's at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is like,
That's where it is.
do you have it in the Smithsonian or some other place where
Well, that's
where it should well
the
be
version
hanging?
of the Smithsonian, I suppose.
Right.
It's down there in Cleveland right now.
Okay.
Wow.
And Fender did make me a couple of replica guitars, though, that I do use.
And as well they should. I mean, you were their ambassadors. Like
Yeah.
if the Beach Boys are the apogee of the West Coast band, I mean,
Yeah.
there's Ford families and Chevy families, and back in the 60s the Beach Boys were a Fender family.
Yeah, we were. That's on that particular guitar would be on the A Postcard from California album that I did in back in 2000, way back in 2009 or something.
Yeah.
Right. We were
Way
gonna
back when.
we're gonna talk about that record actually because it's notable. There's so many great collaborations on that record.
You had Glenn on
man.
it. You
Ooh,
had
Did I get lucky or what?
It's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Neil Young, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean,
I
that's
know.
it is quite a list. I mean, and I wanted to ask, making a record, a solo Al Jardine record, when you're putting songs together, how did the process of deciding it's time for me to make a record, who do I reach out to? What's that process like for you?
And it was really exciting. It just developed from. I honestly can't remember how it started. To be honest. One thing would lead, like a song selection, like creating a set list.
Right.
I mentioned earlier, the one thing leads to another kind. I think I had a song that maybe it was "Don't Fight the Sea." There's a composition called "Don't Fight the Sea" that I've been working with the Beach Boys on for years.
Wow.
And I could never quite, for some reason, it never got to the front of the selection for a recording. But I had everybody's voice on it. Brian and Carl and Bruce and Mike. Everybody was on there.
wow.
And then the message seemed pretty. I guess the global warming experience maybe started kicking in.
Right.
Well, let's add a verse about the polar bear or something.
Okay.
They were being forcing the warming was forcing them off the glaciers.
Right.
Or whatever, off the ice flow.
So sad.
And so that's when that started, I think, when global warming kicked in. You
Wow.
know. Anyway, and then Neil was very gracious and gave me a day of his time for the California for the remake of A California Saga,
Right.
which encompasses a story about the living on the Central Coast, Northern California environment. Where we're all from here,
Right.
and it kind of seemed to fit ecologically and environmentally and all that. And I don't know. And then Brian kicked in and he contributed. And David Crosby was real cool. David and Steve Stills.
Right.
Real characters, man.
Did you?
Yeah.
They are bona fide royalty.
Right. David and Steven are some of the guys that have. They also help to identify or characterize the Southern California sound of the '60s. Did you have a friendship with some of these guys before the record? Or, it would seem like you would have had some kind of relationship with them.
Oh, absolutely. I could just call him up and ask him. Well, Steve Miller, of all folks, was a good friend of Carl Wilson.
Right.
Wow.
And then I saw Steve up at camp. There's some kind of Bohemian Grove camp up in Northern California.
Right.
Are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
Thing?
I thought it was just Republicans.
It's a pretty conservative camp. For sure.
Right.
But I was invited, so I went, and Steve and I got together up there, and he created a little environment up there, musical environment. And so afterwards, he agreed to come down and sing "Help Me Rhonda" with me, a remake of "Help Me Rhonda" in a more bluesy, Steve Miller idea.
Makes sense.
And Norton Buffalo, the great Norton guy,
Yeah.
Buffalo, before he died, he played the blues harmonica.
Wow.
So all those things kind of gel, don't they, when you start kicking it around and one idea creates another. And you start making phone calls and calling in favors.
Right. Right, exactly. And then, and of course, and then you have a star-studded, record. I wanted to ask, Glenn Campbell, obviously, since the recording, there's a lot of news about Glenn and his health and things of that nature. Of course, a documentary about him. What was your experience working? Obviously, Glenn was on a lot of Beach Boys records, and you've probably had a relationship over the years. But getting to have, him on this record must be an absolute, a nice moment for you personally.
Oh yeah, it was the greatest. He walked all the way down from his hotel, and with his daughter.
Right.
To meet me at the studio before going over to rehearsals. He was playing in Monterey that evening at the theater in Monterey, and I said, Glenn, just have a hack at this. I know this sounds like something, but I don't know what it is. But it sounds like something you recorded, so it's calling out to you, And he said, he said that's Lineman. He said that's Lineman. I said, oh really? It turned out to be the song I wrote called "A Postcard from California."
Right.
But it wasn't Lyman. I later realized it was what Rhinestone.
Rhinestone Cowboy.
Like Rhinestone. We were both confused, but the point being that he was still healthy and still brilliant, and he made the melody sound even better than I'd written it.
Right.
My recreation of it, and so I just let him have it, and he did it in like 2 or 3 takes, and went off to do his rehearsal, and it was amazing that but at that, it was obvious that he was starting to get, a little confused about things.
Sure. Yeah, that's, but just to be able to get one last collaboration with Glenn must be just a great feeling.
It was. He and I we toured together in the early years with the Beach Boys.
Oh, right, of course.
And he came out on the road to replace Brian when he got sick.
Right.
And he said, "Hey Al, just do me a favor. Could you play the bass and I'll just sing the high parts?" So there was a lot of he had to learn a whole lot of stuff really quick.
Oh, I can imagine.
He's the only one we could think of at the time who could sing falsetto.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And or maybe I sang falsetto and he played the bass. I can't remember which. One or the other. Anyway, doing both was a little bit of a thanks.
Of a task, I can imagine. And also I know that this summer there is going to be another a major motion picture about Brian's life that's coming out, starring Paul Dano and John Cusack. And obviously you can't tell Brian Wilson's story without including the rest of the guys in a story like that. I've come to realize over the last 40 years or so, there's been several attempts to try to tell the Beach Boys story.
Oh yeah, TV movies.
On TV movies, films. Let me ask you: Does that? How does that have any effect on yourself? Have you ever had to watch somebody, an actor, portraying yourself on television,
wearing fake sideburns, playing a version of you?
Does that ever? I don't know. Give you any kind of creep you out?
Well, you should ask that question to Mike Love, I would think. The last thing I remember is that ABC production.
Right.
The authorized biography, whatever it was called, because it laid more heavily on Mike's involvement in the band. The rest of us were pretty much cast in other kinds of roles.
Right.
No, I've never had that problem. I've never really. We haven't had that much autobiographical, or I should say biographical, things done on us on a major way until now. And
right.
This particular film will be more about Brian's about post Beach Boy history.
Sure.
I mean, with respect to his involvement with Dr. Landy.
Right.
And,
right.
And being rescued from that character.
Charlatan.
Away from him. So it doesn't rely so much on our history.
Right. But have you seen the film yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it yet, but supposedly it's getting good reviews. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll be well received.
Sure, and probably while you guys are out on tour, I mean, having all these things firing at once, it's probably going to be a huge summer for Beach Boys music and Al Jardine and Brian and.
The Beach Boys own the summer. That's just.
Can I say something about a local group up there called the Mother Hips?
Oh, we love them.
Please, yes.
We've been talking about them all day.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of theirs, and they come down here to Big Sur about once a year for an event called the Hypnic, and it's so cool. And they always invite me to come and sing a couple of songs.
And that just took place recently. That was not even a couple of weeks ago. Not even.
Yeah, on the 23rd, I think.
Right.
And
that's a couple of days ago.
And what I've heard, because I'm friends with a lot of friends of theirs.
Last week.
Okay.
Last Saturday, Friday, and Sunday, and it was a whole it was a camping out, kind of like a Bonnaroo thing.
Right.
Yep.
Where you camp out and you buy a ticket for camping and music, and it's all day long, all night long kind of thing, and it's a great event.
And they asked you to perform, and what was the event? Your when they bring you on stage, are you doing singing harmony, singing leads, doing?
Yeah, it's just everybody knows that I'm from around this area, so
right.
It's kind of become kind of an unplanned event. Yeah, we just sit around and just say, well, what should we do, kind of thing, and they. Tim Bloom and Nikki always have something creative to say about it, and they're great players.
Right.
They love the music, and I mean, we did a couple of things from Pet Sounds one year, and this year I got off easy. I was in the studio recording, and so we didn't rehearse. So, I winged it, did a Del Shannon song, and I think helped me Rhonda, and I don't know, something else.
Right. That's
kind of fun.
That's exciting.
It's a great event, the Hypnic.
The Hypnic, right, with the Mother Hips, and you've been showing up, collaborating on these shows every year for a little while then.
Oh yeah. Well, the last 3 years.
Right.
Yeah. If I'm home.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't home the year before, so we were out with Brian. So it's just from time to time whenever we can, because it's a lot of fun. I get a chance to see what's going on in my own backyard. And,
sure.
And, go down by the river and watch the campers kind of enjoying the beautiful summertime.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Summertime feeling here.
In a beautiful area as well. I mean,
yeah, it's like the Russian River, only a lot more quiet.
Right. Right. So Well, Al, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to thank you so much for sharing a part of your morning with us. And of course, I wanted to, in close, ask, obviously you're going to be doing this tour with Brian. Do you have any plans for putting together a new album or anything that we can expect from you post the tour this summer?
Well, I would love to do another album if I had the I'm just kind of working on one song right now, as a matter of fact.
Is that right?
That's been obsessing me for the last few years, and I'm trying to recreate something that how the James Taylor would take a song and or Linda Ronstadt, and they make it their own, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm working on the Runaway song right now, trying to
Del Shannon's Runaway
to another level.
So
we'll see what happens with that. It's tough taking a standard like that,
right,
and making it better, because if you don't make it better, forget about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Is it Del Shannon Runaway, Al?
Yeah.
Oh man, what a great song!
Wow.
It's a labor of love, but at least if it never comes out, then at least I tried.
Right.
Ooh.
I mean, that's.
And that would spark again. That could spark other songs. Maybe I'll play it for Brian when I get the courage.
Right. Is that?
He'll say, "Hey, that's great. We should do this, or we should try that." And pretty soon you got a whole other album going. So.
Is that a little bit of when you show stuff to say, Brian? You said having the courage. Is that a little bit tough taking a song to Brian Wilson?
Well, yeah. Any kind of a major event like that. It's a major event for me.
Right.
Just playing it for my wife is a big event.
Right.
We all know the particular thing so well that you don't really want to mess with it, kind of thing.
Sure.
Also,
we have our own memories, and but if you can make it new, well, we'll see. I'll try it out. I'll get a reaction.
Right.
And he'll go, "That's great, Al," or "Hey, what'd you do that for?" We'll
right.
see. No, yeah. Obviously, he's, but he's not critical. He's not. You never get that kind of
reaction.
Brian.
And you guys are coming from the same place too. He's got to love that song as well.
Yeah.
He's you just don't want to sing flat.
No.
That's right. Well, I got to say, Al, it has been a pleasure, a real pleasure having you on the program and talking about, your album and, of course, Brian's record. And we wish you all of the success and luck for this tour. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you guys at the winery if you feel like coming down FR South into
I would look forward to it. Anytime you guys are anywhere nearby, I usually try to make the trek.
We'll send a bottle of wine back to you, Al. How about that?
You got it. Okay, so Soma, right?
You got it, Soma.
Thanks so
You're
much,
in
Al.
the Soma district.
You got it. Yeah, south of Market.
Okay, man, south of Market. I'm with you.
Al Jardine, thank you so much again, and have a lovely morning.
You two guys.
You got it. Thank
Bye,
you
Al.
so much. There he is.
Both of you.
Take care, Al. Ladies and gentlemen,
What just happened?
Al Jardine.